You guys will not believe the broken invoke combo that I just discovered using only ALEISTER. So all you need to do is normal summon ALEISTER. Of course, don't set it like some people would to play around a card like Droll or Gamma. You want to normal summon it and actually activate its effect. And its effect will grab you Invocation from your deck to your hand. And then from here, you want to link summon using the ALEISTER into a copy of Salamangreat Almirage. And don't misplay like other people going to Artemis. You have to have Salamangreat Almirage. Then you want to turn the Salamangreat Almirage into a copy of your Secure Gardener. And then from here, most people would just go Invocation, Banishing Gardener, and ALEISTER. But that is completely incorrect. What you want to do actually is activate Invocation, Banishing Almirage, and ALEISTER to summon out your Invoked Purgatrio, and then use Invocation to add back ALEISTER. And from here, you have gone +2 up in card advantage compared to the usual +1 that Mikaba grants you. So honestly, I don't know why people haven't been doing this combo. It's just absolutely insane. And yeah, this is absolutely like mind-blowing how no one has seen this in like all the years that Invoked has been a thing. What is up, guys? This is Tcg Sam here, and I hope you like the introductory kind of skit that it's my first time doing something like that. I hope it grabbed your attention. I know there's not a lot you may think there is to Invoked, but there's a few things I want to actually discuss that are quite legitimate, not just summoning Purgatrio turn 1. Before we begin, I just want to ask you guys to please remember, if you haven't already, leave a like, comment, subscribe, because it really helps keep me motivated to keep posting more videos like this, and it really helps the channel out. But with that being said, let's just hop straight in. Alright, so ALEISTER the Invoker is probably one of the most iconic normal summons in recent Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you've seen it in and out of the meta for like the past couple of years. Even if it hasn't been top tier for like the years in between, it's always been a decent contender because of its really just simple and very efficient engine. And what I mean by that is ALEISTER is usually played as an engine in certain decks like Shaddoll's nowadays, but used to be played with Mech Knights a lot back before the Shaddall support came out. And it's very important because ALEISTER as an engine adds so much more power to a deck and consistency, because you have consistency cards like Magical Meltdown and Terraforming to search out your ALEISTER the Invoker, giving you 7 copies of ALEISTER. But of course, if ALEISTER wasn't good, there'd be no point in playing him. So what does he really do for you other than, of course, the effect that everyone knows? Of course, you normal summon, add Invocation to your hand, and then Fusion Summon from there, and of course you can use this to boost the Fusion Monster by 1000 attack. But why is this actually so good, and why hasn't this been power corrupted since like 2017? Yes, it seems a very simple normal summon engine that just makes a Fusion Monster and passes, but and takes up your normal summon, which is huge nowadays because normal summons actually are more important now than ever, with some of the best starters being normal summons. Why would you ever want to spend it on ALEISTER? Well, let me explain. Because ALEISTER, there are a few things that ALEISTER actually gives you. The most obvious of all being card advantage, or where you go normal summon ALEISTER, add Invocation, make your whatever link monster you go into, Secure Gardener, Invocation, summoning out Mikaba, and then Invocation adds back ALEISTER back to your hand for a play for next turn. And then, of course, this is a +1 in straight up card advantage because you're up 1 extra card than you had at the beginning. That being, of course, Mekaba. And of course, Mekaba acts as a negation, which can take your card away from your opponent, so that would trade 1 for 1. And of course, you have a big body presence that's a very big threat to your opponent on the board as a result of a single normal summon. But what's important is that most people may not consider is that Invocation adds it back to your hand. And I know that's very obvious, everyone does that, but why is this so good? Well, because it gives you a follow-up play. Follow-ups are very important in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you can't always expect your board to hold out with all the board breaking cards that there are out there nowadays. You gotta expect your board to be broken and have a play to go into the next turn, so that you don't glass cannon and shove everything onto the board during the first turn and just hope that it holds up. You have an ALEISTER back in your hand for next turn, and of course that allows you to do the very same thing the next turn, where you go add Invocation, make any other fusion monster, let's say Purgatrio, because you're guaranteed that with an Almirage, and of course Invocation adds itself back. And right now, at this point, you've traded 1 for 1 with your opponent with Mekaba. You force them to get rid of the threat, but when you still have ALEISTER, you put another threat on the board with another follow-up. So that's gonna lead me to what not sure if I'm using the definition correctly, but tempo in Yu-Gi-Oh! When you get a single ALEISTER normal summon, it's just super huge because it puts your opponent on a very limited clock. Because the very first ALEISTER you summon, provided of course you're playing Secure Gardener and Almirage or the Artemis, the Moon Magic Maiden, grabs you in Mekaba for free, and then threatens your opponent with Allister for the next turn, plus 1 negation on the board. And if that and during the next turn, you get a free Purgatrio if you're playing Almaraz or any other fusion monster, depending on what's in the graveyard. But either way, my point is you get another fusion monster plus an Allister back to your hand, which pretty much puts your opponent on a very, very short clock to deal with your fusion monsters, or somewhat deal with the Allister in hand, which is more difficult to do. Like, they have to force you to use it in your hand to give something 1,000 attack. But even if you do that, you still broke even where you have a fusion monster on board off of just a single normal summon, which is pretty good, because getting an extra deck monster for like a single normal summon, and a very impactful extra deck monster at that, is actually very, very good. So yeah, like I mentioned before, card advantage, raw card advantage also gives you a lot of that. It gives you a very, very good tempo in Yu-Gi-Oh! And which is of course very, very important. And finally, like I touched on briefly before, adds a layer of consistency to a lot of decks that may not have been there before. So like I mentioned before, Allister is an engine that you would play as a deck. It's very unlikely you'd see someone play Allister only as Invoked, like a pure Invoked deck with a bunch of hand traps. I know that exists, but like it's not seen as much these days, and it's because Allister actually doesn't offer you like that much power. It offers you a lot of consistency and follow-up, but like it doesn't offer you a super, super powerful play. Like what it does, it gets you one fusion monster, which is very, very good. It's not bad by any means, but it doesn't offer you like the chance to just OTK your opponent next turn or whatever. But like it does, what all it offers you is a chance for your other engine to fill the void that the Allister pretty much can't fill. Like he can fill like the consistency role, and you can fill like a follow-up role for like decks that don't need their normal summons, which is another thing. If your deck doesn't need a normal summon, you can put in Allister pretty much for free. All you gotta do is you might have to play a brick in Invocation, but like even then, it might be worth it because of just how powerful Allister really is. But yeah, those are pretty much the reasons why Invoked actually has still been good throughout like all these years. I know some of it may seem obvious to you guys, but I just want to actually shed some light on why Invoked is still good and why I think it will be good in the future. That's the other big thing I wanted to talk about. Why Invoked, unless like there's some crazy like new fusion spell that's super generic that lets you just summon out from your extra deck for free or something, without playing like any bricks in your main deck or whatever, I really don't think this can get power crept like too soon. Because, like I mentioned, for the aforementioned reasons before, something so generic and splashable, which like plays all those important roles like consistency and follow-up in this game, are just honestly huge. And of course, with the tool utility that it gives you, you can make all these fusion monsters from your extra deck, and all of them have like different utility effects that are obviously really, really powerful in and of themselves. And even if you just summon a single one, it can completely shift the tide of a game just because of how powerful these fusions are. And of course, it also can take away resources from your opponent, as in you get rid of the stuff from their graveyard as well, which is another big thing about Invocation. So overall, to conclude what I was talking about, I really do think this engine is gonna be really, really good in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even if it isn't meta in the future, it's gonna always float in and out of like metas and be like a very edge of the meta in like rogue decks and stuff, because it's actually a very, like I mentioned, it's quite shockingly powerful for something so simple, where you can just normal summon, grab a fusion spell, fusion summon, for all the reasons I mentioned before. But let me know what you guys think of this engine down below. Let me know if you agree with what I said. If you disagree, just remember this is my opinion only. Hopefully, guys, it was informative for you. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. And with that, I will see you guys soon. Take care.